Business Studies Test 2 of 2024, that is September 2024. So this is a Test 2 of September 2024. So we see that this question paper is from the province of Limpopo. So we are going to go through the whole question paper that is the September test. So in terms of our instructions that we are given in the question, we are going to be uh, uh, interested with instruction number 1. So instruction number 1 is that this question paper consists of 3 sections. It covers 2 main topics. So we have got section A, which is compulsory, and we have got section B, which consists of 3 questions. So it consists of 3 questions, but only you are supposed to answer 2 of the 3 questions. So and section C consists of 2 questions, and to answer any one of the 2 questions are in this section. So basically, that's what we have in terms of our instructions. So on our first question, that is 1.1.1, it is the process of finding solutions to difficult or complex issues. We have got brainstorming, Scamba, we have got problem solving, creative thinking, but we would see that the correct response that we have is problem solving, that is our C. So problem solving is the process of achieving a goal by overcoming obstacles. So which makes problem solving the correct response that we have on the first part. The second question, the procedure that must be followed before research is conducted. We've got research protocol, we've got research instruments, market research. So the correct response that we have there is a research protocol. Remember, a research protocol, it addresses the research question and also describes specific elements of the study such as we are talking about methodology and also addresses design and objectives. So basically, that's the description of our research protocol. So this is the correct response that we have on question 2. So moving on to the next part, which is our 1.1.3, which reads a written summary of information dealt with in a presentation. So we have a poster, handouts, illustration, projector. So you'd see that there is the correct response that we have there is a handout. So a handout is B. Then we go to question 4. Hotel is used dash to assess the viability and profitability of the business. So basically, it is asking what is used to assess the viability and profitability of the business. So according to our responses, we have got financial plan, a marketing mix, a promotion, a financial analysis. So the correct response that we have is D, which is financial analysis. And remember, financial analysis refers to an assessment of the viability, stability, and profitability of a business. So basically, that makes it the correct response that we have in terms of number 4. The number 5, the sales manager was requested to submit data as an evaluation of performance of the business. We have got a visual aid, a chart, a business report, a business plan. So the correct response that we have is a business report. So we have C. And we move on to the second part of our question, or question 1, which is 1.2, which means that requires us to complete the following statements by using the word or words provided below. So we have got different terms that we have there that we need to fill in. So on the first question, during presentation, Morogadi uses dash to display computer output into a white screen. So you'd see that the correct response that we have there is a data projector. We have data projector, which we have here, which makes it the correct response on 1.2.1. So 1.2.1, we have data projector as the correct response. And then we go to the next part whereby it reads, FSB uses data to collect, measure, and analyze data related to a business opportunity. So obviously, is a research instrument which we have again here as our correct response. So we are saying 1.2.2, we have a research instrument. Then we move on to the next part, which reads, this relates to external factors over which a business has little or no control. So we go through and see which one is the correct that we can fill in. So we have opportunities and threats as the correct response. So we are having on 1.2.3, we have got opportunities and threats. And we move on to the next part, which reads, so moving on to 1.2.4, it reads, Molepo construction applied the dash technique when they listed the driving forces and the straining forces that will support or resist change. So we have our responses. We try to see which matches that. But according to our response, we see that we have got the uh, according to responses, we've got the force field analysis. So we are going to say Molecular construction applied the force field analysis technique when they listed the driving forces and the straining forces that will support or resist a change. So we have driving forces. So remember the force field analysis, it looks at forces that are either driving the movement towards a goal or blocking movement towards a goal. So basically, that's the force field analysis. That makes it the correct response that we have on question 4. Then we have that again. Other section 1.2.4, we have got force field analysis. Then we move on to the next part, which is that refers to how the business is going to make its target market aware of its products or services. So basically, this is promotion. So basically, this becomes a business promotion. So we try to check if we have a business promotion. Other section, we see that our responses, we do have promotion as our response. So we have promotion here. So we are saying on 1.2.5, we have promotion. Remember, a business promotion, it is the strategy that business use to increase sales of their products and services. So basically, that makes our promotion the correct response that we have on 1.2.5. And this is the last question that we have on our section A. In our section A, here's a total of 20 marks. So from there, we move on to the next question that we have, which is going to be our question 2. So our question 2 is on our business ventures. The first question that we have reads, name and 2 components of a business plan with 2 marks. So it says that the components of a business plan that we have, we can talk about the cover page. We can also have contents page, that is the index, the executive summary, a description of business overview, a SWOT analysis, and we have got other components that we can also include that are also correct in terms of components of a business plan. So remember, in our question, we have got 2 marks, so 2 points are enough for you to get your 2 marks. So we go to 2.2, explain the importance of a business plan. So see that in terms of the importances of a business plan, you'd see that a business plan helps entrepreneurs to set goals and objectives. And also, we are saying it gives the business the direction in which to move towards. So that is the first point that we have there. Then moving on to the second point is it can be used to attract investors and prospective employees. And in the business plan, guides the entrepreneur on the viability of their business idea. And it also helps the entrepreneur to identify problems that may arise and helps management to take steps to avoid these problems. So this is what we have in terms of importance of business plan. But we have got a continuation in terms of points that are also correct in terms of importance of a business plan that we can also include. So moving on to the next part of our question, it reads, read the scenario below and answer the question that follow. So we're given a scenario of Motupi Electronics, which is ME in brackets. Motupi Electronics is a consumer electronics and IT retailer. ME has recently employed a qualified computer technician. The business is located in a high crime area. The manager of ME lacks good management skills. Morgan Computers has recently closed its operation. So it is comparing a SWOT analysis for Motel Electronics, which has 4 marks, and this is our 2.3. So SWOT analysis, remember, we've got S standing for strength, W standing for weaknesses, O is opportunities, T we've got threats. So we have to identify the strength that we have in terms of the scenario that we are given there. So in terms of our strengths, we can see that we are being told that the business has recently employed a qualified computer technician. So the qualified computer technician becomes a strength that the business has. The business has a qualified computer technician. Obviously, the qualified computer technician is going to positively contribute to the operations of the business, so it becomes a strength. Then, in terms of weakness, uh, we see that he agrees that the manager of ME lacks good management skills. So this is a weakness. As the manager lacks good management skills, it becomes a weakness. It's going to be a negative towards the performance of the business. Then, in terms of opportunities now, sending for our O, we try to see again where exactly do we have our opportunities. We have the last sentence reads, Morgan Computers has recently closed its operations. So Morgan Computers obviously is a competitor which has recently, potential competitor who has recently closed its operations, which means the customers of this business are going to be taken by ME. So that becomes an opportunity that is there. So we have opportunity. Then threats, we check again which one is indicating our threat. If you check here, on this sentence, it reads the business is located in a high crime area. So this becomes a threat. Where the business is located, it's a threat. So this is exactly what we have in terms of our SWOT analysis. So we are saying, presenting it in a tabular form, we are saying we have the business has employed a qualified computer is our strength. And then our weakness is that the manager of ME lacks good management skills, as we have identified opportunities. Morgan Computers recently closed its operations, and then threats, ME is located in a high crime area. So this is what we have in terms of that. And then we move on to the next part, which says identify the marketing mix components applied by let's say hardware in each statement are below. So what are the market mix components applied is the question. So we have the first one saying the business is situated in a residential area. So you'd see that the marketing mix component that is there is a place or distribution. A place or distribution. Then on 2.4.2, let's say it uses flyers to advertise their products. So obviously, by advertising, this is a promotion. So we have promotion as a part of that. So we have also that stated in our answer section, whereby we're saying the first part we've got place, and then second part we've got promotion. So we've seen that each one has got 2 marks is indicated on the marks allocation. Then we go on to see in terms of the next question that we have, which is 2.5, it reads outline protocol for conducting a research. What is the protocol for conducting a research? So in terms of protocol for conducting research, the first point is that the research protocol must cover the ethics of the process. The ethics in research has 3 elements. It may not disadvantage anyone. It may not inhuman. It may not exploit anyone. So, and then the third point, the research should be conducted with the willing cooperation of participants. And the research must be approved first if it is taking place within an organization. So basically, these are the points that we have in terms of protocol of conducting research. Of course, we've got a continuation in terms of other points that we can also include that are also correct. Then I will move on to the next part of our question, which is advise business on the importance of assessing needs and desires in identifying a business opportunity. So you would see that the importance of assessing needs and desires in identifying a business opportunity is that sometimes an entrepreneur will invent a new product for which there is no existing desire or market. So in that case, you'd see that that would be necessary. So basically, in terms of our 2.6, we have also a rundown in terms of the points that are correct in terms of the question that we have. Remember, it requires the importance of assessing needs and desires in identifying a business opportunities. So these are the points that we have. The first point reads: needs and desires are keys to a successful business opportunity. The success of a business opportunity depends on the awareness and fulfillment of a target market. And the business should create a desire for their product through well-designed advertising and marketing campaigns. So this is what we have. You see that our question has got 4 marks, so obviously 2 points will be enough. But we have got further points that we also have that are also correct. And going back to our question, we see that this becomes the last part of our question 2 with 20 marks. And from there, we move on to the next question, which is supposed to be our question 3. So our question 3 is on business roles. So first question that we have is name any 2 problem-solving steps. So our 2 marks on question 3.1. So the problem-solving steps that we have is we have to identify the problem. Also, you have to formulate a strategy. After identifying the problem, you have to define the problem. So we have that on the section, as we are saying, these are the steps that we have: identify the problem, define the problem, formulate a strategy, implement the strategy, allocate the resources, monitor problem solving, and evaluate the problem. That is a solving process. So this is what we have. But if we go back to our question, you'll see that our question only requires you to come up with only 2 problem solving techniques. Our question 3.1 only requires 2 steps with 2 marks. So you go to 3.2, it reads elaborate the meaning of creative thinking. So you'd see that the meaning of creative thinking is that creative thinking involves the process of generating innovative and imaginable ideas. Alternatively, you can come up with the explanation that it is also the ability to see something in a new way, being able to think of unique ideas or new approaches. So basically, this is what we have in terms of the meaning of creative thinking. So moving on to the next part of our question, it reads, read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. That is 3.3. We are given a scenario of Lyon Fashion Designers, which is LFD. So it reads, Lyon Fashion Designers is well known for elegant women clothing. Businesses are required to apply creative thinking to solve problems. Some of the staff members were requested to suggest new ideas allowed in a large group. The rest of the staff were requested to individually and silently generate a solution. So I believe that we have got 3.3.1, which reads identify 2 problem-solving techniques used by LFD. Motivate your answer by quoting from the scenario. So we need to refer back to our scenario. So in terms of that, if you come here, you see that it is some of the staff members were requested to suggest new ideas allowed in a large group. So the element of suggesting, of coming up with new ideas, it is a brainstorming. So we are brainstorming as one of the problem-solving techniques. And then if you move on to the next sentence, the rest of the staff were requested to individually and silently generate solutions. So you see that this is nominal group. So we have that again articulated in another section whereby we have it in a table form, whereby we're saying in terms of problem solving technique, a column, the first one is brainstorming, which is motivated by what we have identified in the scenario. Also, we've got nominal group, also motivated with what we have identified in the scenario. So moving on to the next part of our question, it reads, explain how businesses can apply the problem-solving techniques identified in our question 3.2.1. So application of brainstorming and application of nominal group technique is what is asked by the question. So you'd see that we have that also, whereby we are saying brainstorming, the problem must be defined clearly. People in the group suggest ideas and solutions at random, and all ideas must be written on a flip chart. We have a continuation of brainstorming, whereby the facilitator must encourage everyone to participate and ensure and no one criticizes any suggestions. So we've got a continuation of brainstorming. And then next, we've got nominal group technique, which is the team is divided into smaller groups, seated around the table. Our problems should be clearly defined to the groups. Each team member will silently think of as many ideas as possible and write them down. Each team member gives one of their solutions or ideas with a short explanation. So this is what we have, and then we've got a continuation that we have of other points that we can also include in terms of nominal group. Remember, it only requires 2 marks on nominal group and 2 marks on brainstorming. So this is what we have, and then we move on to 3.4, which is distinguish between decision making and problem solving. So we need to come up with the differences that exist between decision making and problem solving. So with that, you'd see that the differences that we have in terms of decision making and problem solving, we have them also in the table form, whereby decision making, we are saying decision making is the process of choosing from several alternatives, whereby problem solving is the process of finding a solution to a problem. And in terms of decision making, second point is various alternatives are considered before deciding on the best one. Then a problem solving, alternative solutions are identified and are evaluated. And also we have it is part of the problem solving process where a solution is chosen, that is decision making. Then the problem solving, it involves analyzing the problem to identify a solution. So we're going to continue watching in terms of those discrepancies that we have between decision making and problem solving in terms of two discrepancies that we have. So that is the last part that we have in terms of our question 3. So with that, we move on to the next question, which is our question 4. Our question 4 is on business ventures, and it is named any two research instruments. So we see that we have got various research instruments that we have. We'll talk about observations. We can also have interviews, questionnaires as our research instruments. So we have them in our answer section, whereby we are saying we've got surveys, interviews, questionnaires, observations, experimenting as instruments. So we move on to the next part, and then the next part of our question is elaborate on the meaning of business opportunity. So you'd say that the meaning of business opportunity is that a business opportunity is an idea for a person to start a business so that they can generate an income. It is also a chance of improving the current operations of a business, which can contribute to greater profitability. So you'd say that these are the explanations that we have in terms of a business opportunity. So moving on to the next part, we have got 4.3, which is identify the visual aid that is applied to, let's say, this construction in each statement below. So what is the visual aid that is being applied? The first one is saying Moses showed the client a simple drawing of the processes for each stage of the project. So this can be presented on a flowchart. A flowchart or a diagram can be used. So we've got a flowchart or a diagram that we can talk about, which we have in our other section on 4.2.1. Then 4.2.2, it reads, the sales manager presented a set of sales figures in a series of rectangles. This is a bar graph. So we have a bar graph as our response. Then on the next part, it reads, the images were used to show the front view of the building. These are the illustrations. So we have illustration as our response for 4.2.3. And moving on to the next part of our question, which is our business roles. The first question that we have under business roles is that elaborate on the meaning of problem solving. So we need to come up with the meaning of problem solving. So problem solving basically, according to our meaning, is saying problem solving is the process of finding solutions to difficult or complex issues. And also it is a process that requires creative thinking. Alternative solutions are identified and critically evaluated. So that is what we have in terms of the meaning of problem solving. Then moving on to the next question, it reads, read the scenario below and answer the question that follows. So we've got a scenario of Seshego chemicals. And the first question beneath that reads, identify two problem-solving techniques used by AC. Motivate your answer by quoting from the scenario. So we need to refer back to the scenario and identify problem-solving techniques that we have. So if you go there in our scenario, you see that at this sentence, it reads, there you have requested that the management team to list all the driving forces to list all the driving forces and the sustaining forces that will support and resist change. So basically, this is a force field analysis. This is a force field analysis, which we have again mentioned in our other section, where we're saying force field analysis is being identified whereby we have a sentence which means they have requested the management team to list all the driving forces and descending forces. So that's what we have. And then we try to go back and try to identify another problem solving technique that we have there. If you come at this sentence, please, SC has also invited a panel of experts to individually respond to questionnaires and return it to the business. So you'd see that this is a Delphi technique, and this is the Delphi technique. So this is also, as mentioned in our answer section, whereby we are saying Delphi technique identified on that sentence, which reads SC has also invited a panel of experts to individually respond to questionnaires and return it to the business. So that is our 4.5. Then I believe that we see that this is the last question that we have on our question 4. And obviously, we need to move on to our question 5. And remember, our question 5 is on the essay part. So moving on to our question 5, which is our essay question, it reads a business ventures presentation of business information. We are given information before the question, which reads a business report is an important communication instrument, and the business should understand its importance. Visual aid context to a presentation, and it makes it more interesting for the audience. So the question reads: write an essay on the presentation of business information on which you include the following aspects. So we have got the aspects that we are given there that we need to follow. So of course, the additional part reads advise businesses on the factors that must be considered when designing a presentation. Then in terms of our essay, remember we are supposed to start with our introduction, whereby we can define any business term that we can see in the question. Of course, we have got a business report that we have along in the question here. So we can define a business report in our introduction. So that is the best way to come up with your introduction. In terms of introduction, we can define a business report, whereby a business report is a key communication tool that provides an evaluation of a particular issue relating to the business. And we have got further explanations that we have that we can also include in our introduction. So moving on to the next part, we now move on to the main body, whereby we're going to start with outline the guidelines on writing an effective business report. So in terms of the guidelines that are required, we have them also articulated of writing an effective business report. We should determine the scope of the report. We should determine the target audience of the report, determine how the report should be presented, collect the necessary information, and prepare an overview of what the audience know and details that should be included in the report. So basically, these are some of the points that we can put. We've got further points that are also correct that we can also include. And then on the next part, it requires us to explain the advantages and disadvantages of graphs or diagrams or symbols or pictures. So these are the advantages and disadvantages that we have articulated in our answer section, whereby we're saying advantages and disadvantages of graphs or diagrams, symbols or pictures. In terms of advantages, graphical representation of information helps with understanding and identifying patterns and trends in data. So they act as aid to understanding, as they make comprehension easier. And then we have got the second part, which is it enables quick analysis of large amounts of data at one time and assists in making predictions and informed decisions. A lot of information can be displayed in an easy to understand format. And then also graphs do not require much explanation. And then visual aids simplify the presentation when using complex information. So basically, this is what we have in terms of advantages and disadvantages of graphs or diagrams. And then we also have disadvantages that we have here, which we have got the first point, which is too many diagrams and graphs can be confusing to the audience. So this becomes a negative. If we have many graphs and diagrams, it can be confusing. And also, these graphs and diagrams need to be explained. So if they are not explained, they become confusing. Information can easily be manipulated, causing false information. So graphs can be used as an instrument to manipulate information in the favor of the reporter, which might be not a positive position. Then you go to it may distract the audience from the speech as they pay more attention to the visual aids, which is also correct. And then preparation of graphs and diagrams is time consuming. So these are the disadvantages of graphs. Then we move on to the next part, whereby it reads discuss the importance of business reports. So the importance of business reports, again, we have them also listed in our answer section, whereby saying the business report aims to provide a critical analysis of how the business is performing in all business functions of the organization. And then business reports also are used to guide decision making in the business, and it allows business owners and senior management the opportunity to investigate and solve any identified issues. So these are the points that we have in terms of importance of our business reports. So moving on to the next part, it reads, which is now the additional part, which reads advise businesses on the factors that must be considered when designing a presentation. So what are the factors that should be considered when designing a presentation is the next part that we want to look at. So these are the factors that we have, starting with the text and headings, using legible font and font size, selecting a suitable background that would not distract from this content, choosing images that may help to communicate the message. So these are some of the factors that you can also include. And then we've got a continuation of those factors, including graphics and images related to the content, adding special effects to support the message. So these are some of the points that you can also include that are also collected. And finally, you're supposed to end with your conclusion. So this is a typical conclusion that you can come up with in terms of this essay in question. So basically, thank you for listening, and hopefully the video was helpful. And let's meet again in the next video.